35. If the title of this video didn't give it away, this one didn't quite go to plan. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Had a bunch of new subscribers after the Bristol, Glasgow, Bristol video, so welcome aboard. For your benefit, the normal format of these videos is that I will do like a little roundup of what went well, what went badly. I'm always trying to reflect on what it is that has happened during the ride in order to try and become a kind of better long distance rider. So I'll be back to that format for this video. So if you're interested in what it is I think I did wrong essentially for this video, then stay tuned till the end. So finally made it to Wimbledon. I say finally because today's been quite an eventful journey to get here. Started off with my original train being cancelled, so rocked up to the station to just get the next one, which was also cancelled, and then the next one, and then the next four. And so it turns out that there was a points failure south of Birmingham. So that really looked touch and go there for a minute whether I was going to make it here at all today. Thankfully my girlfriend had the genius idea of looking at Moore Street Station rather than New Street, and there were trains to Marylebone that were on a different line. So instead of doing New Street to Euston today, I've ended up doing Moore Street to Marylebone, and then trying to follow a Google Maps route on my phone, which is in my pocket because I don't use a phone mount on my bike. So yeah, that was a bit of a meander across London. So this ride is the London Land's End London, 1000k, 1200 meters climbing. Yeah, I basically got back from BGB and just needed something to fill the void really, so I started looking for other 1000k rides this year and pretty much immediately signed up for this one. Should be good, looking forward to it. I guess I'll get inside and get on with the pasta party. Made it to the first control point, 75k in, making pretty good time at this point. Unfortunately, this 24-hour garage is actually closed, and even the cash point is not giving out receipts. Not ideal, out of water. So yeah, pretty unfortunate. Just gonna have to keep an eye out for somewhere else that might be open. It's kind of a big A road we're on for quite a while now, so hopefully it'll be somewhere else. Anyway, I guess let's go cracking on. So just left Amesbury Services. Thankfully this one was open, so I was able to get some food and some liquids. Spent the last 3 hours with nothing to drink. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful morning. Sun's rising now. It's bloody cold. Pretty much gone on everything that I've got with me in terms of clothes. Didn't have any sleepies during the dark hours, which is good. Sometimes find myself around 3 AM having to outrun the sleep monster, but none of that this time, so all good. So I feel like the night went really quickly, probably because it did, because I mean it was like 4 o'clock when the sun started coming up. I often find the day into night, night into day is kind of chapters of the ride, kind of brackets, bits. Maybe we're into the long bit now. And this is why we ride our bikes through the night. Through 200k now, first big milestone of the day, I guess. Not quite halfway, but it'll do. Strange sleepy patch back there, like eyes closing type sleepy. A little bit concerning, right? I decided to stop and tape up my wrists because they were just starting to ache a little bit. 10 minutes off the bike, concentrating on something else, done the trick and feel all right now. Cracking onto Langport now. That's the next control point. So I did stop in Langford in the end. Langford? Langport? Geez, I don't know. Went to the little bakery Very nice, can highly recommend that. Big thanks to the ladies in there for your wonderful baked goods and your cheery demeanour. It's one of the things I really love actually about Old Axon and all the little stop-offs you make in little villages, and you get to kind of briefly sample a taste of village life, having a quick chat with the people behind the counter. There's a regular in, they'll always join in the conversation. I love it. Into the Blackdown Hills now. Over the last couple of years I've ridden a reasonable amount. Tend to bring my bike down more when we visit my girlfriend's parents. Generally always really like riding around here. It's always nicely picturesque and just so quiet. The lanes around the Blackdowns are always quiet, like hardly any traffic. There's days you go out and basically you only ever see other cyclists. Great. So not long left Exeter. Just glad to be out of there, to be honest. Big towns and cities, pain in the ass. I had a Greggs though, so it's not all bad. 57k to Tavistock, which is the next control. And then it'll be about another 50k after that to get to say Austell, where I'm staying tonight. Really tired now. Legs are working, but brain not so much. So I think this is the big long climb up to Dartmoor. 4.5 kilometres, meant to be average 5%. Average over that kind of distance is completely meaningless, right? I mean, there was definitely 13% ramps at the bottom, so yeah, no. Well, Dartmoor's been pretty brutal. Not just the climbs, but the wind and how exposed it is up here. Man, it got cold. Can't even descend that fast because like front wheel's getting proper squirrely in the crosswind. It's been proper tough going up here. Not been handling the sleep deprivation particularly well today. I mean, I actually had to stop for a little 15-minute power nap by the side of the road, which is literally the first time I've ever had to do that. But just about to kind of descend off Dartmoor now, I think, down into Tavistock. Anyway, I guess we get back on the road. Turns out that getting 5 or 6 hours sleep makes you feel a lot better. Who knew, right? 5:15 in the morning, 300 odd K ahead of me today. Lots of climbing. Straight into a couple of double-digit grade hills out of the hotel. Legs actually feel quite comfortable. Doesn't feel like there's really any tightness or soreness. It's about 85k now to Land's End, where I've never been before actually, so you know, something new. Nice to have a little flat section along the front at Penzance. Not so nice was the absolute wall of getting out of Penzance and up onto the headland. Even say something like Hard Knot Pass has that kind of like respite in the middle. Whew. So I've been so cold today, and I think it's just me because I've seen 1 or 2 locals out in shorts and short sleeve tops. So either they're proper nails or the fatigue is just messing me up a bit. Okay, made it to Land's End. That's like just over 500 kilometers done. I guess this was kind of minimum target for not a complete failure. Struggling for pace today, really tough going, really tired, legs are a bit rubbish. I don't think I've really recovered properly from Bristol, Glasgow, Bristol, as I'm riding worse like yesterday and today than I was on like day 6 or whatever of that. So I think I've probably still got quite a bit of built-up fatigue that's made this tricky. I think a number of weeks of rest is probably in order.
No, don't.
In danger of burning out otherwise.
No.
So just outside Penzance, I stopped to deal with my clothing. I'm pretty sure I put my phone and wallet down on this bench and I've not picked it up. That's 60 kilometers back. I can risk riding all the 60k back, see if it's there, or I ride on and try and get to Hemioch, which is where my girlfriend's parents are. Brevet card was in the wallet as well with all the receipts. It's not even like I can kind of ride on and try and dip into Hemioch on the way past to maybe borrow some money or something like that. Oh man. So just to finish off what happened on this one, I decided that I'd pretty much try and take a direct route as possible to get to Hemioch, to my girlfriend's parents' house, which coincidentally, my girlfriend was heading towards herself. Unfortunately for me, not really knowing the wider area of the southwest, I thought the A30, that looks like the quickest way to get there. Once I got to the A30, I realised that wasn't a road I wanted to ride on, and in sort of trying to reroute myself, I ended up going quite a indirect route at that point. Eventually saw some signs to St Austell. Thought, you know what, I'm actually just going to ride back to the travel lodge I'd stayed at the night before and let's see what happens. Fortunately for me, the staff at the St Austell Travel Lodge were absolutely amazing. They bent over backwards to help me. I was able to get in touch with my girlfriend, so she was able to come straight down to St Austell to pick me up. Whilst I was waiting in the travel lodge, I ended up calling my girlfriend back again, and it turns out she'd had a call from Daniel, the organiser, who in turn had a call from the people that had found my wallet and brevet card and my phone. So it turns out they found it in the exact village where I realised I left it, called the number on the brevet card. Daniel called my emergency contact. So at that point then we were able to arrange to go and pick up my wallet and phone as well, so managed to get that back that night as well, and then yeah, eventually got back to the Blackdown Hills, something like, I don't know, 12:30, 1 a.m. in the morning, but ultimately faith in humanity restored, and yeah, it all worked out in the end. So it's a few weeks later. I thought I'd try and give it a little bit of time to think about this one, because I've been finding it kind of tricky to reflect on. I keep kind of swinging between the ideas that this was just something that happened, one of those things, move on, but also thinking, is that just an easy way out? Did I end up here because of something that I did badly this ride? And I think in the main, really, this was just one of those things. I am going to get into a number of things that I think I did wrong, as just kind of little learning points. But yeah, I think it's kind of easy sometimes, and I'm really bad at this because I'm so introspective often. It's really easy to overthink it. But anyway, okay, the 3 things I want to get into. First one, didn't really deal with the sleep deprivation particularly well. Normally, if I know I'm going to lose a whole night's sleep, I will bank sleep in the week coming up to it. This time around, I didn't really do that. Combination of just not sleeping well and probably just not going to bed early enough in the week before meant that I hadn't banked the sleep and I was already pretty tired going into it. Secondly, I would normally really concentrate on the 2 or 3 meals before a big ride, making sure that not only have I got a lot of volume, but also a lot of carbs. I didn't really do that this time around. Combination of traveling all day and it being kind of a stressful day traveling, and not concentrating on the things that were really important, but actually just sort of like getting a bit tied up in the annoyance of the trains and all of that. I think I also placed too much emphasis on the pasta party before the ride as well. I think I should have eaten a meal around sort of like 5 o'clock and then treated the pasta party at around 9, half 9, more as just a pre-ride snack really. So that was definitely my error, because that was never really in my plan. But yeah, my pre-ride eating wasn't good enough, although that didn't lead to like anything even approaching like bonking. Do think that it maybe somewhat affected my morale in the last 100 kilometers or so of the first day. I think combine that with the first control not being open and not being able to pick up more food, then that one obviously completely outside my control, but it shouldn't have played a huge role because I should have been pre-fed and I wasn't. Thirdly, the reason why I ended up leaving my phone and wallet on that bench was that I had it in pockets in my like jerseys that I wouldn't normally have it in. So bear with me on this a little. Generally speaking, I wear a short sleeve jersey and I will always have my phone and wallet in the back pockets of that, no matter what other layers I've got on. That's because then if I've got other layers on, well, they're covering it up, so it's less likely to fall out of pocket. And well, if it's the only thing you got on, then it's the only pockets you got anyway. For some reason this time around, I had a long sleeve jersey on over the top of it, and I'd put the stuff I left in the pockets of that. So then when I was trying to change and stuff, I ended up having to put them down somewhere. Sure, I should have remembered to pick them up, but the kind of overarching lesson there with that one and the other two is about doing the things you normally do, right? And that's overall, that's the most important thing I want to take away from this, is that essentially there's no point in you reflecting on what you're doing and learning lessons unless you're actually going to then do the things that you've learned. And 3 things there that I didn't do. I'm not going to beat myself up too badly about those things, but that's the main learning point I think from this ride. A little bit about the route before I finish. This is definitely a challenging route. 1,000 kilometers, 12,000 meters should tell you that it's going to be reasonably difficult, but I don't think those stats really tell the story. The first and last 240, 250 of this ride really isn't difficult. Reasonably flat, rolling in sections, not a huge amount of ascent, and certainly nothing difficult. The difficult bit is the middle 500k that contains around about 7,500, 8,000 meters of climbing, something around there. And it's not just the ascent, it's the type of ascent. So this was constant up and down, which I think is mentally more difficult than kind of bigger climbs, and steep, like repeatedly pretty steep, constantly looking down and seeing double figures gradients. I think that then tends to fatigue you more. I think it also just slows down the pace a lot more when it starts to get up to that kind of gradient. Additionally, a lot of the descents were on lanes that were single lane, like narrow, high hedges, blind corners, often not a great surface, often in a lot of tree cover, so they were either like dark or dappled, so you couldn't really see a lot of the potholes so easily. And what that then meant was you couldn't really catch up some of the pace on the descents because they weren't particularly fast descents either a lot of the time. So all of that adds up to make, I think, a pretty challenging route, and one that is harder than I think the stats on it might suggest. So would I do this one again? Well, there's a certain element of unfinished business. I'd certainly like to give it another go. I think if it's on again next year, I think it's one of them where I'll look at the calendar. If it kind of fits in naturally, then great, but I don't think I'm gonna kind of, you know, try to get this one in again anytime soon. Having said that though, I did really enjoy riding by the sea, and I don't do that enough. That would have been nice to have done that more on this one. And also as well, ferry at Padstow, man, I was really looking forward to that, really looking forward to it. That was one of the things I was most disappointed about, actually. Maybe I've just talked myself into it more than I thought, but yeah, I guess we'll see is the answer to that. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I think it's important to talk about your failures as much as your successes, and I'll catch you in the next one.